Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita as it is. Chapter 2, text number 46. No, sorry, 47. It's 47. Karmani evadikaraste
Karmani evadhikaste
ma phaleshu kadachana
ma phaleshu kadachana
ma karma phalahitur bhur
ma karma phala ketu bhur
mate sangostu akarmani.
mate sangostu akarmani.
Did you set up the computer for my trap? Go ahead.
Karmani evadhikaraste
Karmani evadikaraste
ma phalesu kadachana
ma phaleshu kadachana
ma karma phala heturbhur
ma karma phala hiturbhur
mate sangostu akarmani.
mate sangostu akarmani. Karmani,
Karmani,
in prescribed duties.
prescribed duties.
Eva,
Eva,
certainly.
certainly.
Adhikaraha,
Adhikaraha,
right.
propriety, right.
Te,
Te,
of you.
of you.
Ma,
Ma,
never.
never.
Phaleshu,
Phaleshu,
in the fruits.
in the fruits.
Kadachana,
Kadachana,
at any time.
at any time.
Ma,
Ma,
never.
never.
Karma phala,
Karma phala,
in the result of the work.
in the result of the work.
Hetuhu,
Hetuhu,
cause.
cause.
Bhu,
Who,
become.
become.
Ma,
Ma,
never.
never.
Te,
Te,
of you.
of you.
Sangaha,
Sangaha,
attachment.
attachment.
Astu,
Astu,
there should be.
there should be.
Akarmani,
Akarmani,
in not doing prescribed duties.
in not doing prescribed duty.
Translation. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. There are three considerations here: prescribed duties, capricious work, and inaction. Prescribed duties are activities enjoined in terms of one's acquired modes of material nature. Capricious work means actions without the sanction of authority, and inaction means not performing one's prescribed duties. The Lord advised that Arjuna not be inactive, but that he perform his prescribed duty without being attached to the results. One who is attached to the result of his work is also the cause of the action. Thus he is the endurer or sufferer of the result of such actions. As far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into three subdivisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. Routine work performed as an obligation in terms of the scriptural injunctions without desire for results is action in the mode of goodness. Work with results becomes the cause of bondage. Therefore, such work is not auspicious. Everyone has his proprietary right in regard to prescribed duties, but should act without attachment to the result. Such disintegrated obligatory duties doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. Arjuna was therefore advised by the Lord to fight as a matter of duty without attachment to the results. His non-participation in a battle is another side of attachment. Such attachment never leads one to the path of salvation. Any attachment, positive or negative, is cause for bondage. Inaction is sinful. Therefore, fighting as a matter of duty was the only auspicious path of salvation for Arjuna. Om Agyan Tirinandasya Jnanajana Shalakayam Chakshunanmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, And my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, has opened my darkened eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto His lotus feet. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
So, the first realization in spiritual life, doesn't matter what path you are taking, provided it is real spiritual life, professional spiritual life, as Srila Prabhupada says, you must understand that this life is full of suffering. You cannot improve anything in this world. It's impossible because we're not the doer. Whenever we perform action because we're influenced by the modes of material nature. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa ankara vimudatma kattam iti manyate. Krishna says. The bewildered soul, he thinks that, I am doing this, I am doing that. If I do this, this is what's going to happen. If I do like that. This is our original bhavaroga, our original disease. We think we are God. The word God, Prabhupada defines as the controller. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha. There are many controllers, many Ishwaras, just like the demigods. They are also Ishwaras, they control the material world. But Krishna is the supreme Ishvara, Parameshwara. So, we're trying to play God in this material world, and we're tricked by the false ego that we're actually God, that we're controlling things. But in actuality, in reality, we do not control anything. We're always serving. We're not controlling, we're controlled. Either we're controlled by the modes of material nature, by Krishna's inferior energy, the Prakriti, or we're controlled by the spiritual energy, Radharani, Bhakti. This Bhakti is not some kind of an impersonal idea. Bhakti is actually Bhakti Devi. Bhakti Devi. She's a person. And the source of Bhakti Devi is Srimati Radharani. So, when we chant Hare Krishna, we're chanting, we're praying to Srimati Radharani, Hare or Radhe, to engage us in Krishna's service. Right now we're engaged in the service of Maya. That is also Radharani's expansion. When you want to become God, when you want to be the false controller, then you become subjected by the inferior energy. Srimati Radharani, she expands as Maya, as the material energy. And she has a chastising character. We're being chastised by the material energy. Birth, death, old age, disease. Aribhotika, Aridevika, Ariatmika. The threefold miseries. Miseries inflicted by the living entities. Miseries inflicted by the body and the mind. Miseries inflicted by the natural calamities, just like COVID is a very good example. So constantly, we're suffering in this world. Therefore, the first realization before we start studying what is Krishna consciousness is that I am not the controller and I am suffering. By suffering, we can understand that, I cannot control things. Right? Sometimes you can improve something, little something. But when you're suffering, you're realizing, I am not the controller. I am being controlled. I am being subjected by a higher power. That power is Krishna. So, this is very, very important. These these shlokas in these introductory chapters of the Bhagavad-gita are very, very important, because if we do not assimilate this point, what is surrender, what is the condition to become a devotee of Krishna, what is the qualification, that preliminary stage, if we do not cover very thoroughly, if we do not understand, it will have consequences. Later on, when we practice Krishna consciousness, there will be a fall down, because these preliminary points are not deeply assimilated. So please do not make that mistake. Do not ignore these chapters. Do not ignore the knowledge of the Bhagavad-gita. These are not some basic, like Prabhupada says, Bhagavad-gita is the ABCD of spiritual knowledge. It is not that it is, to be ignored. It is something insignificant, and we have to come to a higher knowledge. In spiritual education, in Srila Prabhupada's books, there is no such a thing as higher and lower from the material point of view. The higher and lower is simply, lower is simply in terms of spiritual variety. Materially speaking, there is no difference between highly elevated topics that we can find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and a discussion about the Atma Tattva, how Krishna is describing that we're not this body. Srila Prabhupada is going on and on. Many times he mentioned this. You are not this body. Srila Prabhupada is, if you hear his morning walks or his classes, this is one of the most quoted shlokas. You are not this body. So it is not a joke to actually understand that you are not this body. You have to realize that you are a spirit soul, and the symptom of that realization, you become completely free from any sort of bodily necessity. In the beginning, our spiritual life is very much disturbed by the bodily necessities. Just like you're chanting Japa Hare Krishna and then sleeping. Right? Immediately. You cannot do anything. You're forced. I remember when I joined the temple, it was so difficult for me to rise early at 4 in the morning. I was not accustomed. I was a party animal. Right? I would sleep in the morning and the whole night dancing, disco, drum and bass or something, nonsense like that. So when I joined the temple, it was very difficult. At 4 in the morning, my Gabada would wake me up. He would always say, "Rise and shine, rise and shine, Bhakta Pedro." He called me Bhakta Pedro. So it was very difficult. And when we had the Bhagavatam class, I would just collapse. I would be hearing for 1 or 2 seconds or a minute, and then I would just literally I would faint out of tiredness. My God, was so heavy. He was chastising me so heavily. "You nonsense! You rascal! Look at you! You are so animal. You cannot hear the Bhagavatam. You are such a nonsense." But I could not help. I was trying. It was not that I was slacking off. I was really trying. I was keeping my eyes like this. But the influence of the material nature is such that we cannot do as we want. We're checked by the material laws. So we must understand this. We must understand this, that we're suffering. Even Lord Buddha says the material existence is dukkha. It's full of suffering. If we do not understand this, there's an interview which there is a class Prabhupada gives in Australia, a video. And they're asking Srila Prabhupada that, suppose someone says, I don't need this Krishna consciousness, I am very happy. I am very happy. So what should we tell him, Srila Prabhupada? So Prabhupada says, such a person is a madman. He's a madman. Anyone who thinks that, I'm very happy, I live in this material world, I have this material body, I'm very happy. He's a madman. He's not an intelligent human being. Right? Because practically speaking, we see that we're constantly dealing with suffering. And what we call happiness is simply a temporary little relief. We get a little tiny relief, before the next suffering begins again. Right? Just consider, the man is hankering, I wish I had a girlfriend. And the woman is also hankering, I wish I had a nice husband or boyfriend or whatever. And they're hankering very much. And they see other couples, right? And they become envious. They found each other. They have such a romance. And nobody loves me. I cannot have. And they traumatize and they go to bar, they drink and they smoke ganja or something in frustration. And then all of a sudden, that beloved appears on the scene, right? So it is great happiness, great celebration. Oh, they fall in love and there's a romance and so many things. And they get married. They get the rings, the golden rings, right, on their hands. And they get children and so on and so on. And then, all of a sudden, all of a sudden, you realize that, oh, this wonderful ideal person is actually not so ideal. He's actually a big rascal. He's very selfish. And I suffer so much because I have to adjust to his nonsense ideas because we live together and people feel like in jail. In marriage, Prahlad Maharaj says that it is just like falling into a dark ditch and asking for help. Help me! Help me! But nobody can hear you. Nobody hears you. Nobody hears you. Nobody wants to hear your lamentation. So Prahlad Maharaj describes a family life like that. So again, the idea is, oh, I wish I was not married. Again, this is dissatisfaction. You know? So this is our illusion that we try to improve. We try to make money. Oh, money, I need money. Then I'll be able to control the world. Right? People will do anything for money. So that's why people are so much after money, because the money will give them the power to control. That propensity to become God can be very nicely exercised. Right? So in this shloka, Krishna explains the secret of how to get rid of all this nonsense. He says, you have a right to perform your duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So, not doing your duty, that's another topic, the false renunciation of activities, but we're dealing with the fruited mentality, that let me get money, and then I will control the world. Here Prabhupada says, he is further clarifying in the purport. Sorry, just give me a... Okay, in the end of the first paragraph. One who is attached to the result of his work is also the cause of the action. Okay? Very important. One who is attached to the result of his work. So let's say you're working and then you get the result of your work, you get a salary. Is also the cause of the action. In other words, then you become the cause of your action. You're never the cause, right? But you become the cause in the sense that you have to take the karmic reaction for that work. You follow? You have to take the karmic. If you attach to the result, then you are the cause. And Prabhupada gives this famous example that the soldier is killing in war. He goes, the government sends him to war and he's killing thousands of people. He goes back home, he gets a golden medal. Very good. National hero. Bravo. The soldier goes home, pulls out a gun. He goes downtown, London, starts shooting everyone on the streets. Just like he did in war. The same activity. No different. Same activity. Same soldier. Same gun. But the police immediately, they come, they take him down and he go into jail. Why? Because in the war, he was not attached to the result of his work. He was simply doing his duty. It is not that the soldier was killing out of some personal reason. Yeah, he's going to war, he's killing, whatever. It's the duty. It's his job. In the second example, he's killing because of his personal madness. So then he becomes responsible. He becomes the cause of that activity. While he's killing on behalf of the government, the cause is the government. So he's not responsible. If he's killing on his own, he becomes the cause. And that's why he has to take the reaction. So this is the cause of our suffering. You see? First of all, the living entity is trying to become the Lord and Master. He's trying to be God. And this is how it manifests. That he's attached to the result of his work. He wants to be the enjoyer. You're never the enjoyer, because even when you enjoy the fruits of action, if you enjoy the money, how you can enjoy it? You enjoy in sense gratification. You enjoy through senses. But Krishna already explained, you are not this body. You are not the senses. You're not the eye. You're not the tongue. You're not the genital. You're not the belly. This is the superficial covering on the spirit soul. So even if you enjoy so-called enjoyment, you're not getting anything from that enjoyment. Your tongue is enjoying, your belly is enjoying, your genital is enjoying. Maybe your mind is enjoying that, oh, I'm a very, very successful person, very happy person. But the spirit soul has nothing to do with this enjoyment. And that is why Arjuna actually felt frustration. He says that even if I gain the whole world, kingdom bigger than the three worlds, I will not be able to mitigate this frustration. Right? There's a spiritual frustration. We all feel spiritual frustration because we're eternal and we're anandamaya abhyasa. We're eternally looking for pleasure. But everything in the material world, starting with our material senses, with our material mind, material intelligence, is temporary. So by constitution, by default, we cannot enjoy eternally through temporary matter. You see? So this is how it manifests. So the advice Krishna is giving here is that one should give up the results of his activities. You should not be in this foolish consciousness that I work so hard, now I have a right to enjoy. You have no right to enjoy. Your enjoyment actually is the work. That is the real enjoyment for the soul, the work. Now you'll be surprised. How can be work enjoyment? Yes, it becomes enjoyment when that work is performed for Krishna. That is the real pleasure for the soul. Service. We want to serve. Actually, even that service propensity is manifesting here when a big man, he earns millions of dollars, he can buy anything, everything, but he still takes pleasure in serving others, in serving his family members. That brings him pleasure, right? But we're serving the family, the society, and so on and so on. It comes back to the same point. You're serving the material body of the living entities. That's why they're not satisfied, you're not satisfied either. But that idea of serving, that service is the pleasure, those who are a little bit elevated, those who have a little philanthropic mentality, they can assimilate. So when we take that philanthropic inclination, when we take it to Krishnatropic, from philanthropic to Krishnatropic, or I don't know exactly what philanthropic means, if you break it down. But if we take the propensity and instead of serving so many people or animals or so many causes, we try to please Krishna, that service becomes the real pleasure for the spirit soul. That is a spiritual pleasure. And when we experience this spiritual pleasure, we become automatically detached from material sense gratification. But we must do it. That's why surrender is absolutely necessary. Surrender means you do not know what's going to happen. That is surrender. You must do it. Faith. You must put faith in Krishna's words. And you must make experiment. But since you have experienced so much misery, trying to lord it over material nature, trying to enjoy the fruits of your work, and you're not happy, why not make that experiment? There's nothing else to do. We have exhausted all the possibilities. Why don't we try it? Why don't we surrender to Krishna? This is the point Krishna is making here. Of course, then there are also the various types of activities, the the activities that we are supposed to perform out of duty. Then there's capricious work. And then there's inaction. Why is inaction sinful? Inaction means we're covering ourselves with ignorance. Sometimes when one becomes very much covered by the mode of ignorance, he doesn't perform any activity. Just like people who intoxicate themselves. When you intoxicate with smoke ganja, for example, it takes 3 hours, you feel something, and then after 3 hours, you feel very tired. You remember this, right? So that is mode of ignorance, inaction. That is very unnatural for the spirit soul. Because the spirit soul is always active. It is because of the spirit soul's presence in the body that the body is moving. It's doing great things. So the soul is the active principle in the body. Not like the Maya bodies. They say, oh, soul is inactive. When you get liberated, you don't do anything. No. We can see practically when the spirit soul is present in the body is performing action. And as soon as the spirit soul leaves the body, it's motionless. Just like when I saw my father, when my father died, I discovered his body. So he was like this. No emotion, no nothing. The life was not there. Actually, it reminded me of an abandoned car. It was just like Prabhupada. I remember when I saw him, I remembered what Prabhupada says that the body is like a car and the soul is the driver. It was just like you see an abandoned car. So, it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Right now, we're trying to be active for the illusory idea that I'm going to enjoy matter. We're getting frustrated. And by that so-called enjoyment, we're getting sinful reactions. That's why we're suffering so much. Because we're getting karmically punished. Every enjoyment, just like you take meat, you have to suffer because you have caused so much misery to the animals. They have to die for the satisfaction of your tongue. So the next life you'll be punished. If you kill a child also in a womb, you have an abortion, that is a great sin, you'll be punished. So many sins we're performing even without knowing. That's why the Grihasthas in the Vedic society they're recommended to perform Pancha Yajna, the 5 sacrifices every day. They must sacrifice to purify from sinful reactions. People have no idea. They simply cry, oh, why am I suffering so much? Why this happened to me? Why this? Why that? Oh. And they try to mitigate the suffering by another karma. While trying to mitigate it, just like the Christians, so-called. They say, oh, there's hunger, so we must feed the children with chicken. We must, perform more sin to counteract another, so nonsense. So if you realize this, if you understand scientifically how Krishna is explaining the law of karma, you will simply see how people are engaged in nonsensical, foolish, dull-headed activities. It is very unfortunate. So it is very important. We should perform our duty, whatever is your propensity, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, like that. Also women, they have a particular duty in a society. It is not men and women, they should do the same thing. It's unnatural. This is according to the body. Bhagavad-gita is not some kind of a disconnected spiritual escape retreat, yoga retreat. It is a practical advice. And it deals with material subjects also, because the material energy is creating obstacles in our spiritual life. So we must also know how matter is working. So everyone has a particular propensity. Everyone has a particular inclination towards a particular work. So one should work according to his propensity, not imitate others. And in that propensity, he should dedicate the result of his work to Krishna for devotional service. Just like a Brahmana. Brahmana is supposed to study the Shastra. He should do research and he should guide others. So he should study the Shastra to prove that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he should guide others to become devotees of Krishna. Guide them in that particular ashram. Kshatriya is supposed to manage. So he can manage a nice temple, he can become a temple president. That is also Kshatriya, administrator. Vaishya, you want to do business, you want to make lots of money. Make, yes, very good. $1 million, $2 million. Multiply as much as possible. And we make big prasadam distribution. And we can purchase lands. We have cows, varnashram system, very nicely. Teach people how to live independently. See, if everyone is acting according to his propensity, there's a balance in the society. Then we can cooperate. If we try to imitate, just like they imitate Srila Prabhupada, that, oh, he's a guru, I can also become a guru. It simply creates chaos and problems. It's like an avalanche. One rascal becomes an imitator, then the others also imitate him in imitating. And if everyone is imitating, then no one is doing the real work. So these are the prescribed duties. Then there's capricious work. Capricious work means action without the sanction of authority. It's a speculation, based on speculation. Let's do this, life coaching. J Couch or something like that. So there's a speculation and there's a capricious, no sanction of authority, misleading. And there's inaction, as I said before, mode of ignorance. You become so much frustrated, tired, that you resolve, I become a stone. Just like when someone is very sinful, he takes birth in a very low form of life because he has completely exhausted his credit. So he doesn't get consciousness elevated enough to understand anything about his existence. It's a punishment. So similarly, people who do not perform action, they're becoming like a stone, like a vegetable. That is greatly sinful because this human form of life is a great gift. Imagine, you give someone something precious. You work very hard and then you purchase something for someone and you give him, oh, please take this. And that person just takes it and throws it away. How it's painful for the heart. How it's hurtful. So imagine, Krishna is giving you, take this human form, become a devotee. What's the problem, man? Do it. And we say, no, I don't care for this human body. It's nonsense. I want to be a hawk. How frustrated it must be for Krishna. These rascals, I give him a human form of body to become elevated, to become godly. And he's misusing it and degrading himself to the hog's body, to eat stool. So, very much, the acharyas, all the pure devotees, they're very much lamenting. And they try to elevate the people to a higher and higher consciousness. So, this is how we should do. We should give up the result of our activities, not enjoy. Srila Prabhupada says, if you have money, print books, open temples, arrange for prasadam distribution. These are all bona fide processes. How to engage money in Krishna service. Don't speculate. Don't say, I serve Krishna, I go to buy ganja. I also dedicate, I smoke ganja and then helps me in my meditation on Krishna and I become a guru. No. Prabhupada made it very, very clear and exclusive. Print the books, distribute the books, make a temple where people can come. If you want to run a temple, then you must follow all the principles, rules and regulations. Not that everyone can make a temple and it's a hodgepodge nonsense, rascaldom. If you cannot follow the principles, then work. It's fine. Work and give the results. But people don't want to work, they don't want to make a temple, they don't want to do anything. So then the whole world is a mess. And the Krishna consciousness movement cannot really increase. Right? This is very much needed. We need thousands and thousands of devotees to change this world. I myself personally, I cannot do anything. We need thousands. So all of us, we must take it very seriously and take it, sincerely, what Krishna says here and what Srila Prabhupada says. Alright, so any questions?
Yes, just a second. Okay, yes, I have a question from
Yeah.
from the purport when you were reading. I was
Mhm.
wondering. It says, as far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into three subdivisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities.
Yeah.
Routine work in terms of the scriptural injunctions is done without any desire for results because such work is performed out of obligation. It is the action in the mode of goodness. Work with results becomes the cause of bondage. Therefore, such work is not auspicious. And this last part, work with results becomes the cause of bondage. Therefore, such work is not auspicious. Is intriguing me because, in what way, the karmas would say,
Mm-hmm.
they have to work, right? So they have to, and they all expect results.
Yeah.
So I was going to
So
ask,
they should give up the result.
give up the result
Mm-hmm.
and just work out of routine.
I'm sorry?
And work out of routine?
Yeah, they must understand that the purpose is not to enjoy the results of the work, but to work.
But the work is
That is what I was explaining.
yes.
That the work actually service, not just work, but service for Krishna. That is what will make you happy. Krishna is already, he's going to give you whatever results you need. That is already arranged by Krishna. Ishabhasamidam saram yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Krishna sends everyone his quota that is given to you by Krishna. See, we're not working. We're not working. The devotees here in London, Expand the Bliss community, we're not working. But are we hungry? Quite the opposite. The indigestion problems. We have a shelter. We live in a nice place. So many rooms we have here in this place. So that is given by Krishna. For everyone, not just us, everyone. Krishna is supplying everything to everyone. Every single species of animals, they have their particular food according to their liking. Not just food, but according to their liking. Like in a restaurant, right? In a restaurant, everyone orders according to his liking, and the waiter comes and he gives according to his taste. So Krishna is like a transcendental waiter. He gives every single animal according to his liking. Huh? So you have to open our eyes. Krishna is all around us. But we don't want to see, because we're being trained like that, to be blind. There is no God. There is no Krishna. Just work like an animal. Go. You have to make money and then enjoy sense gratification and then again make money and again spend it. Like a nonsense.
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah.
now your answer has birthed another question.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, Krishna, it was always prescribed, the quota was already prescribed to us.
Yes.
So now the difference is just in a state of mind, just as you see it. Either you're seeing it as I must for myself or for Krishna. So that is the only difference.
That is the only difference.
Wow.
If you want for yourself, then you have to work.
And then you have to suffer.
Yeah.
Just
Because if you want for yourself, it's not for yourself, it's for lust, to satisfy your lust. Lust is no saturation. It's always expanding.
Oh, wow.
So you will have to go work and more, and you will never be satisfied. But if you want to work for Krishna, you're immediately satisfied.
Wow.
Huh? If you just take little prasadam, right? Little dates. How we taking dates and milk, how satisfactory it is. Right? Because it's prasadam, we know it. It's prasadam. It's prasadam. It's Krishna prasadam. We honor it. And we derive so much pleasure from it. And the atheists, they will laugh. Look at these fools. They celebrate the dates and milk. Because they don't have the taste. They don't understand. And they have to work hard and hard and hard. So this is the problem. Yeah.
The proof is yogurt every day.
Yeah.
No saturation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of discussion going on, but I don't see any questions. Okay, that's nice. The bodies are interacting. Okay, Prabhus, thank you so much for watching, and please join us tomorrow. If you come every day, you can follow up, you will learn the whole Bhagavad-gita. Very nice, very good opportunity, hearing bit by bit. Every day we cover one shloka, so if you come every day, you'll be a Bhagavad-gita scholar. You can be a guru, alright? Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavad-gita ki jai! Srila Prabhupada ki jai! Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Namo Prabhupada Krishna Mosali Srimad-Bhagavad-gita Samani Ramani Namaste Sarasate Srimad Vichadina. Hare Krishna, Makacha Prabhu, Ellen Rahasya Mataji, Hare Krishna, and all of you nice souls.